How do you really transform a nation? I'm not talking about small tweaks here and there, but a bold, all-encompassing blueprint. Today, we're going to dive into exactly that, a massive strategic vision for Bangladesh, a plan that's designed to reshape its economy, its place in the world, and, well, its entire future. So, where does this all come from? Well, at the very heart of it is a book called The Architects of Tomorrow by Guru Dilawar Hussain. And you have to understand, this isn't just a book. It's really the philosophical bedrock for what's being called a revolution for the rejuvenation of Bangladesh. The ultimate goal? To build what they call an enlightened civilization. And they are not being subtle about it. The book's own preface calls it a thoughtfully crafted manifesto and a strategic roadmap for national transformation. Right away, that language tells you we're talking about an ambition that goes way beyond simple policy adjustments. This is about a fundamental shift in the whole country's direction. Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at that big, high-level vision. Then, we're going to get into the real nuts and bolts with something called the DEFA 18 initiative. From there, we'll see how this strategy actually works in the real world. Things like rebalancing global trade, tackling a huge national debt, and even creating a new link with the American Heartland. And then at the end, we'll tie it all together to see the full picture. All right, first up, let's really unpack the core vision here. Because before we can get into any of the specific policies, you really have to understand the philosophy that's driving this entire thing. This isn't just about spreadsheets and economic growth. It's about completely rethinking what a society can be. And this plan isn't just appearing out of nowhere. It's a direct answer to what the author sees as the nation's biggest roadblocks. It goes right after these deep systemic issues, poverty, corruption, social injustice, and basically argues that these are the things holding Bangladesh back. And the goal? I mean, talk about ambitious. The whole point of the blueprint is to lift Bangladesh to the same level as highly developed nations like Japan, Finland, or Singapore. The idea is to build a state of real trust and widespread prosperity by getting 180 million people all pulling in the same direction. It is a monumental task, to say the least. So, you've got this grand philosophy, this huge goal. How in the world do you turn that into actual practical policy? Well, that brings us to the specific strategic tool they've designed to make it all happen. And this is it. It's called the DEFA 18 initiative, which stands for the International Trade and Economic Balance Initiative. You can see the crest here. This is the strategic engine that's supposed to turn that big vision into reality, mostly by totally reshaping how Bangladesh deals with the global economy. You know, the crest itself basically tells the whole story. Let's just break it down. See the flags up top? Those are the key partners. The ship and the plane? That's all about global trade and logistics. The dollar sign and factory? That's the goal of balancing the economy and industry. Then you have that arrow, which is all about growth and trade and, this is crucial, debt repayment. And finally, the laurels. That's the prize, prosperity and success. It's the whole strategy in a single image. Okay, let's dig into the first major pillar of this strategy. And it's all about achieving what the plan calls commercial balance with some really key global players. The plan specifically names 5 crucial partners for this new approach: India, China, Russia, Japan, and South Korea. And the goal here is to get away from just a simple import-export mentality. It's not about just managing trade deficits. It's about building truly balanced, two-way economic relationships that create stability and growth for everyone involved. Now, let's look at a really high-stakes test case for this whole model: the enormous debt from the Rooppur nuclear power plant, a major project with Russia. This is where the strategy gets really creative. The plan argues against doing it the old way, using precious dollars that come from workers abroad or other exports, which just drains the country's foreign reserves. The proposed solution is totally different. It says, pay the loan back from the power plant's own revenue, and by exporting Bangladeshi goods directly back to Russia. So here's how it would work. The first half of that big debt to Russia for the Rooppur plant, that would be paid back in a currency that Russia gets to choose. That's the more conventional part of the agreement. But here's the real game changer. The other 50% of the debt isn't paid with cash at all. It's paid off with goods, products exported directly from Bangladesh to Russia. You see how that works? It's a win-win. It protects the nation's currency reserves, and it boosts its own export businesses. That is commercial balance in action. All right, let's move on to another key piece of the strategy: This one looks west, specifically to the agricultural heartland of the United States. The plan gets very specific, identifying a new and vital agricultural supply chain right from the American Heartland. We're talking about states like Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas. And this isn't just a random pick. This region is an absolute global powerhouse, one of the most productive farming zones on the entire planet. And the focus here is on importing foundational commodities, the absolute essentials. We're talking about things like corn for both people and animal feed, soybeans, and wheat for making flour. So this isn't just about trade, it's really about securing the fundamental building blocks for Bangladesh's food industry and overall food security. And this isn't just a theoretical idea. The plan actually identifies the key corporations that would make this whole supply chain work. From the US side, you've got the giants, Cargill, ADM, Bunge. And on the Bangladesh side, major importers like Kos Food, Islam Agrovet, and Paragon Poultry are ready to receive these goods. It shows a really clear, practical path from farm to market. So we've looked at creative debt repayment and agricultural trade. Now let's just pull back for a second and see how these very specific policies connect back to that grand vision we started with. And this is really the key takeaway. That innovative debt plan with Russia and the new agricultural partnership with the US, these are not separate, random ideas. They are two pillars of a single integrated strategy. Every single move is a practical, concrete step, and they're all designed to work together to drive toward that ultimate goal of national rejuvenation. And in the end, it all comes back to this one powerful idea from the book. The success of any blueprint, it doesn't matter how brilliant it is, it all depends on collective will. The author basically says that true victory is only possible when the entire nation, all 180 million people, unite behind one single shared purpose. And so, we're left with this final, crucial question. We've seen the detailed blueprint, right? The ambitious roadmap for a total transformation. But a map isn't the journey. What does it truly take to turn a national vision as grand as this one into a living, breathing reality?